And hello everybody, it's Monday night, September 10th, and you're live with Sherry Shriner. It's good to be here tonight. If you have a question for the show tonight, you can send me an email at SherryTalkRadio@yahoo.com. There's a link on my website at SherryTalkRadio.com. You can just click on that with your question. It says question for the show. It's on the left-hand side. A couple of things I was looking at this week in the Bible codes, and I've pretty much been buried in the codes for the last couple of weeks. I was really busy last week doing codes on Ron Paul, and then this week just kind of brushing up on codes for the year 2007. One of the things I remember seeing back in 2003 when I was doing codes, I was doing them like up a timeline for the next 7 or 8 years or whatever. And I remember seeing, and some of you probably remember me talking about this when my show first came out, 2 missiles being fired from within our own United States, somewhere in the Midwest or North, here in our own country, being fired toward the West Coast. And that was for in October. Sometimes in the codes you can get several months for the same event, even several years. I don't remember ever seeing a year for that event, though. And so with October coming up this year, that came to mind because I was seeing the term missile in the codes today. Looking at 2007 in the codes has been one of the dominant things you'll see is a lot of drama about our economy, economic drama. But you'll see the term continuance as well, and so I don't know if all this is fabricated, where they want you to think the economy is going to crash and the attack is coming, the second 9/11's coming. So they get everybody in a panic, and then they just keep passing more draconian legislation, because that's one thing I also saw, was that they were going to be passing some more legislation. So we need to really it's not like anybody's doing anything anyway. Bush right now has the run of the mill. He's doing what he wants to do. Nobody's stopping him. Nobody can stop him. So anything he's passing, he's just putting his signature to. No one's saying anything. He's got Congress and the Supreme Court in his back pocket. Mexican drivers are on the highways now. The North American Union being fully implemented now in stages, and most of the public completely unaware. The older crowd just completely unaware because they don't get on the internet and look at the news sites. And all this is just going on, and everything continues as normal. And every little bit he does, he isn't stopped. So that's just some things I've been seeing for 2007. One of the things that's dominant in the codes, and I always crack up when I see this, has been the fact that our Oregon is just totally destroying their underground bases with aliens. They have over 100 joint alien and human underground bases. And the Oregon, we started this Oregon war against them about 2 years ago. And this Oregon's just killing them. It's killing them. It's like pure poison for them. And it gets in their water supply. And I didn't know if I wanted to bring up something in particular or not, but I can remember growing up and even as an adult when you listen to people doing interviews and they don't give you names, and that used to always aggravate me to death. Give me a name, give me a fact, give me something I can chew on. I hate when people get real general and speak about someone or something and not mention a name. And so I figured, well, I'm not going to do that to my audience tonight. I'm just going to give them the names. And it just shows, we've been busy. Utah and Colorado. I've been all over Utah and Colorado in the beginning of June. And when I came home, I said, watch for the fires to start out west. And sure enough, they started. But Utah and Colorado and New Mexico are taking a lot of hits, the aliens of these underground bases, because they're breathing in this Oregon. It's in the atmosphere. It's in the water. And according to the Bible codes, it's just annihilating a lot of Satan's armies. And so this is the year, this September and October, where they will finally realize that it's the Oregon that's doing it. I don't think they understood before, even though I've been talking about it for years. I haven't hit anything. Everything I do is out in the open. Everything I do, everything I say, everything I think is out in the open. And so to their own detriment when they think people are a joke. But like I've said, they've been listening to my stuff for years, reading everything I write. Just never took me seriously. And so now they're going to take a second look, and it's pretty interesting in the code seeing that. I have a lot of arrest codes where I'll be arrested. I have a lot of death codes. And I just don't think a thing about them. If the Lord wants me to be arrested, I'll be arrested. If He wants me to die, I'll die. I'm here for Him. We're warriors. And so just some of those things coming up for this year. Also, saw a missile in Utah and one in the south. I couldn't find a state's name listed. Not necessarily a nuclear missile, because the Hebrews will kind of use the term projectile along with a missile. And also when I saw the missile with Utah, I was thinking they just had hundreds of thousands of acres burned. What if they had caused it by some kind of weapon that they airdropped out of the sky and caused all those fires in Europe? I mean, they could be doing this themselves, stuff going on in the background that we don't even know of. And so that's still a possibility as well, folks. But what I wanted to mention was there was a lake in Kentucky, this Lake Cumberland, and we had been targeting this lake because it was a feeder into a Vulcan base over in Fort Campbell. Right there on the border of Kentucky and Cincinnati, there's a military base called Fort Campbell. And on the outskirts of this military base, there's this huge underground Vulcan base. And it's one of the very few Vulcan bases that I know of. Most of the bases I know of are just greys and reptilians and the lizards. But this one is Vulcan, and people think, what's Vulcan? Think of Spock, think of the pointed ears. That's, I don't even know what a Vulcan alien looks like. Maybe a reptilian with pointed ears, I don't even know. But there's a whole huge base of Vulcans over there. And so we started targeting that lake because the government released something in the newspaper last year sometime saying that they were going to, over the next 10 years, they were going to start draining water out of this lake. And I knew darn well what they were using that water for. It was going to go straight for that underground base over there for the Vulcans. And so we put orgone in it. And, it didn't take very long, maybe about 6 months. And they just released another press article stating that they would no longer be draining Lake Cumberland. Right, because it's killing them. And so that's one of the things we have to do, folks. Every water source in America, we need to protect our lakes because they're draining the water for all of these underground bases. That's their water source. And they do need water. Aliens do need water. These demonic, fallen angelic beings, they're not from other galaxies. They're right here from our Earth itself. Some of them have bases on the moon and the hollow areas of the moon, even on top of the dark side of the moon. And they're in Mars and Venus and our own planets right here in our solar system. But they're not from other universes or other galaxies. That's the big lie. They're confined right here to our own solar system. And very many of these UFOs that we see coming from these star-like orbs, these, and I'm talking about these a lot, these motherships that are at the 33rd degree horizon, just above our horizon, much lower than normal stars. You'll see them at night, and they look like stars. And I actually saw in the codes, one of the first times, is the term star-like orb, because that's what they are. These orbs are also described as little planets, but they're motherships, and they resemble stars. I don't even know where I was going with that, but they're all around us, folks, and there's at least 9 of them on any given night that's out, and more are coming into our atmosphere. I don't know if it's going to stop at 9 or what, but I didn't know how many were there, but I've seen in the codes today that there's 9 of them. And so I know that Sananda, this one that